Laughter Therapy, How to Promote Humor in a Crabby World. And we have with us today Laurie Luke and Elaine Ambrose. And a little bit later, Elaine is going to be bringing a special guest who she will introduce later. So please be prepared to laugh, to participate, to have fun, to engage in the session today. And by participating, you might be the winner of a Starbucks gift card or two. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Laurie first and then Elaine, and I am going to turn it over to them following the introduction. Laurie Luke currently serves the Treasure Valley as the Senior Care Advisor with the team at Grady on the Move. She considers what she does her passion work to help seniors and their families find the care they deserve and financial resources to pay for it. After many years of creating business forms and system solutions for major corporations in Boise, yawn, says Laurie. Laurie finds joy in humor, and enjoys sharing it with those she serves beside in the great state of Idaho's healthcare community. And I just want to add that the first time I ever met Laurie was at a friend's meeting, and Laurie was presenting on the importance of laughter and on improv, and we made an immediate connection. So I so appreciate Laurie. Now I'm going to take just a moment to introduce Elaine. Elaine is an award-winning humor author, a ventriloquist, and a viral blogger. Publishers Weekly reviewed Elaine as laugh out loud funny. So it must be true, says Elaine.
Yeah.
She has been a keynote speaker at conferences across the country, including the prestigious Irma Bombeck Writers Workshop. One of her viral humor blogs achieved more than 800,000 likes online and was published in 6 other languages around the world. Elaine earned her Bachelor of Arts degree from the University of Idaho, and she is a third-generation Idahoan. And Elaine would rather laugh than smack something with a shovel. So welcome, Elaine and Laurie, and thank you so much for being here this morning. I'm going to turn it over to Laurie, and then Laurie.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. And thank you for having us. We're super excited to be here. The industry that we're in kind of gets serious sometimes. And so it's really important to be able to find the laughter. I know we find it amongst ourselves. We're going to kind of share today how to bring that to the residents and people that we serve, and also incorporate that into keeping each other lifted and empowered to do the great work that we do. I want to start a little bit about my why really quick, because it's important as to what's led me to be here to where I'm at right now. 16 years ago tomorrow, I lost my husband of 27 years to pancreatic cancer. Okay, that's pretty serious stuff. It was life-changing, and I had a ton of people that were in our industry. I was not in this industry, that were strong and surrounded me. The thing that got me through my mourning and my grief a lot of the times was humor. It was an escape. It was healthy. It was all the things that helped me get through that chapter. And so fast forward, I was led to my heart work probably, I don't know, a lot of years later, because it took a long time for me to get through my grief and all. But I started working in memory care as a senior care advisor. And I was able to become at that time a person that had helped me be able to be strong for people that were going through that. Well, when you cut your teeth in memory care in this industry, humor is hugely important, as many of you can probably relate. So I have a few stories about that, but and we'll share that as Elaine and I are moving forward. But it just kind of brought me to a place where I actually lived and experienced the importance of stress relief during grief, during work, during all the stress that we have, the importance of humor. And we came across a study, and we started doing studies, and I started getting led to improv and doing all these things. It's physical. There's a physiology behind it. Oxygen comes into us when we breathe and when we laugh. it releases endorphins that heal our bodies. So all of this started coming together, and I thought, we do therapies for music, we do therapies for reminiscent therapy in our work. Why not humor? And so I reached out to my dear friend Elaine, who is one of the funniest people I know. And together we think we're all kinds of funny, right, Elaine?
Right.
So we started collaborating, inspiring one another. Elaine's a huge inspiration to me, a mentor to me, actually, in my desire to move forward with humor. So that's kind of, I'll tell you a little story a little bit later about what kind of tied everything together for me as far as my heart work and humor. It was a pivotal moment. I was doing music therapy at one of my memory care homes, and I had the ladies were really into it, few guys, but I put my little cell phone in the middle of the table and I started playing Elvis. Well, they all just went crazy and started having all kinds of fun. And I had this one resident that was sitting in a corner in a wheelchair. His name was Tony, and he was pretty far progressed in his dementia. And Tony was just there and not really responding or anything, not tapping his feet or clapping or being participating at all. So I always travel with props. So I had the Mardi Gras beads, and I'm passing them out to all the ladies, and they're having fun and they're clapping to Elvis. And I said, "Here, ladies, have some beads. You don't even have to show me your boobs." It just came out of my mouth. And Tony's sitting over in the corner, non-responsive. He starts out like this, and he bursts into the hugest belly laugh I could imagine. That, I mean, people were just shocked. And at that moment, I thought to myself, wow, humor matters. It's important. And even no matter how far progressed people are, and it was at that moment that I decided I was going to incorporate that humor into my work with all the other therapies that I enjoyed doing with my residents. So, and that's kind of the background. But then when I learned, that there's actually studies done and the physiology behind it, physically, how it heals us, how it makes us happy, how the energy around us lightens the load for those that are serving beside us. So that's kind of where I come from, why I do it, and throw it over to Elaine.
Thank you, Laurie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, good, good. Well, we've been sitting for about an hour now, and I have all my friends here. You can see my friends back there. I have 8 puppets. I'm a ventriloquist because it keeps me off the streets, and I'm home talking to myself anyway. But I think we need to move around and get a little active. So stay sitting in your chairs, but just get ready to move.
30-second dance party.
We're going to have a dance party. Oh, no, now I have to turn it. Okay, wasn't that fun? I have that in my car because, as you know, traffic in the area has gotten horrendous. And if I'm at a stoplight and I'm just getting frustrated, I do my 30-second dance party, and I'm just kind of jiving out in my car, and I don't care what people think when they see me. It makes me in a better mood. Now, you might not want to do this at work because your coworkers might not like it, or they might be on the phone, but have one of these. I got these stocking stuffers for my granddaughters, and I'm having more fun with it, and I think they will too. I want to talk about humor. We have to laugh or we're going to cry, and I would just rather laugh. And I want to tell you that you can de-escalate a serious situation at your work or at home or in a group if you use humor. And I always use humor, and I have the privilege of writing about it. And one of my favorite subjects is my dear sweet mother. And she was at Spring Creek in Boise for several years. And just some of the stories I have about her, I wrote about them. And so I encourage you to write your own stories and tell your own stories. And in my book, Midlife Happy Hour, I wrote about my mom's driving, how she terrorized the people in southern Idaho with her erratic driving. Finally, She had an accident. She drove into her garage, hit the back of it, put it in reverse, hit the back as the garage door was coming down. So she damaged the front and the back of her car, which is kind of funny, but kind of scary too. I had to take away the keys, and I don't know why it's always the daughter that has to do these things. But I talked to her and I said, well, the car's in the shop and we're waiting for parts. Those parts never came in. So that's how I took the keys away, being positive and somewhat truthful, but she shouldn't have been driving. Another time was when I came into her assisted living facility, and I wrote about this in Midlife Cabernet and how she was sitting there at Spring Creek reading ESPN, and she had Forbes magazines all over, and she had beauty magazines, and she was 87. And I said, well, Mom, I didn't know you were interested in sports. And she said, no, I'm not. I'm just waiting for my prize. And she had subscribed to 75 magazines thinking she was going to get the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. And that was my responsibility then to step in and take over the checkbook. And that's difficult too. But again, I used humor. I just told her that, we weren't going to the Super Bowl. And so she doesn't need to have ESPN. But it took me 2 years to get her off of all those subscriptions. And she never did win the prize patrol. And I wish I had organized somebody with balloons and a big sign that said she did. I also wrote about her in my memoir, and I wrote humorous stories about her. It was very difficult after she passed, and I wrote about how at Thanksgiving we always had turkey soup instead of a turkey because she cooked it so long. She cooked it overnight, and it was just this mess blob of turkey, and we called it turkey soup. But if you have clients who are reminiscing about the past, try and make that story funny. Try and tell them things they can do to remember those incidents that were so good. And my mom did have dementia at the end, but she remembered music. And I played music for her. I had the old copies of the Lawrence Welk show, if you remember the Lawrence Welk show on TV. And I played those for her and she loved it. Didn't know my name, but she loved that. And if I could bring happiness to her in her last days, that was my motivation. And the people who were caring for her, I totally respect and admire. I encourage you to write your own stories and to keep your own mind happy you can watch happy movies, funny movies. If you have older clients or parents, get some Cary Grant movies or Abbott and Costello, Charlie Chaplin, Shirley Temple, Katharine Hepburn, all these old stories that bring back the meaningful times of their life when they could laugh and enjoy. And there are books, if they're able to read, or read stories, read books to your clients. Anything by Irma Bombeck or Mark Twain that had rich stories that they can appreciate. Now we're going to do an exercise. I don't know if you remember how to laugh. I don't know. There are 5 ways to laugh. First of all, you have to squint your eyes. Second, pull your mouth back in a tight grin. Third, do a high-pitched ha ha ha. And 4th, rock back and forth. And 5, repeat it. Let's try it. Squint your eyes, pull your mouth back, go ha 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 ha, do it back and forth, and then repeat. Sit in your office and do this often. And your coworkers will either like it or not, but it'll make you happy. Practice laughing. When's the last time you had a belly laugh? Do something that will encourage you to have a belly laugh. And my last story, I'm a storyteller, and that's what I do. I wrote a blog. I have a blog on elaineambrose.com, and it's called My Mother's Body Got Lost. And this blog won a national award. I read it at a conference in New York City. It's a true story. My dear sweet mother passed away on a Friday, and she was living in Boise, and I wanted her transported to Wendell. We grew up in Wendell, and that's where the cemetery was, and that's where my father's buried, and it's 100 miles away. Well, They were supposed to do that. Saturday came, I called, they didn't know where she was. Sunday, I called, they didn't know where the casket was. By Monday, I was using my outside voice. I said, "Where is she?" And finally, this is a true story, I got a telephone call saying, "We found your mom. She's near Bliss." Bliss is a small town near Wendell. And that's what we don't know where she was for the weekend. I think she was having her last laugh, but they found her near Bliss and I answered, "Of course she is." And then, so we tried to make these stories funny, even though it was pretty dramatic for me as the daughter trying to make all these arrangements. But if you can find humor in the situation, please do, because it'll save your sanity. So I'm going to toss this back to Laurie.
Well, we just wanted to bring to you some one other exercise, and you could win a prize with this too. I should have let you be thinking about this in the beginning. If you tell a joke today, there is a prize.
I have a
So-
Starbucks gift card in my hand,
Yes,
so we have a
yes.
prize.
So we encourage audience participation. We thrive on it, don't we, Elaine?
Always.
Always thrive on it. There's rough rooms and then there's so anyway, if you could think of a joke or a story that you would like to share with the group, please feel free to do that. There will be a prize. So oldest joke in the book: horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "What's with the long face?" Ba-dum-bum.
Thing.
I use that joke a lot because it is a very, very, very old joke, but it does have the structure of finding things that are relatable, finding things that we all share in our stories and how we learn from one another and encourage one another through laughter. But I'm trying to think if there's what's the next thing, Elaine.
Well, I
Yeah.
do want to encourage, does somebody have a story they want to share, something
Yeah.
funny that happened in their
Elaine and I
situation?
love stories. We love stories. We love telling them and we love hearing them, don't we, Elaine?
Right, we have 2 gift cards if you want to,
Actually, we have a joke. We do have a joke in the chat.
yay.
Carissa says, "Why was 5 afraid of 6?"
Why was 5 afraid of 6? Tell me.
I haven't heard that one.
6, 8, 7. I think Carissa gets a gift card.
Yay.
Something in the chat.
See
Carissa,
how easy that was?
if you
Very
could
easy.
send me your address where you want this to be mailed to, you can just message me privately, or you can put it in a chat if you want to, but I will mail you a gift card.
That's nice. I have a plethora of golf jokes. Are there any golfers in the group? I'm actually not a very good joke teller. I can tell stories and I can do improv, but I kind of bounce off the energy of the room. So, or bring the energy to the room and hope there's energy there. Try and create it. But there was a guy that loved the fact that his wife wore leather, had leather bags and all that. And somebody asked him one day, why is it that you love the fact that your wife loves leather so much? And he said, well, it reminds me of a golf glove. Bad joke. So there's good jokes and bad jokes. Of course, I tell a leather joke because my husband is a master leather crafter. But that's kind of a golf and leather joke. But anyway,
We do have another one in the chat, and this is
Oh,
from
yeah, I hope it's better than mine.
Don Levine. What is the pirate's favorite letter of the alphabet? R. Yeah,
That's But thank you.
he shares that joke with his 4-year-old grandson.
It works. It works. That's awesome. Well, laughter is important.
And then
And
Tina added one. Why did the potato move to Idaho?
Ooh,
Because it heard that in Idaho, even small fries can become big deals.
Oh, that's good.
A potato joke.
Oh, I like that because I grew up on a potato farm in
Yes, you
Wendell.
did.
I'm a third generation Idahoan. I love it. And I found that if we can all use a little humor, I recommend going to Zerker's Party Store. It's on Fairview. If you dare go to Fairview and Eagle area right now, and get some props. There are clown noses. You can get a crown, the big feathery boas. And I always have these props available. Like Laurie has her stories available and her jokes. And then I put on a clown nose sometimes, and it just diffuses any hostility in the room or any problems that we're having. And I don't know if you've noticed that there's a lot of angst lately in the atmosphere. And put on a clown nose or a crown and those boas and try to diffuse the situation with levity and humor, with compassion, and get on their level, eye level. I have granddaughters who are always running around being crazy, and if they start to have an issue, I just get down to their level, eye level, and talk to them and say what's going on. And I can diffuse a situation with humor. And I really enjoy that. It helps me as much as it helps them. And I find that I can't talk about humor if I'm not happy. So I do my best to watch funny movies, read funny books, remember stories that I can write and put in my next humor book. If I just stayed on social media or read the news all day, I would be so crabby. And I choose to be happy. And that helps me with my other responsibilities with family members and with my grandchildren, teaching them to be funny. The first time my granddaughter told a joke, I applauded so much. She really had a self-esteem boost right there. So please use humor in all aspects of life, and in your work and in your family and in your home, because the world needs it right now. They need funny people. And if you have to bring up old copies of I Love Lucy or Carol Burnett, these were great shows. And I miss those kind of shows because they were funny, they were entertaining, they didn't preach. They just showed everyday situations that were funny. The Dick Van Dyke Show, the Friends show on TV. I can think of all kinds of instances. And I'm bombarded with these alternative movies and shows and books that are so negative. And some of them are good, but I don't need them. I don't want them in my life to make my brain sad. And there's enough to be sad about. And for those of us who were caregivers, I wasn't a professional like you are, but I was a daughter. And to watch my mother go into dementia, to watch her in a wheelchair, to watch her trying to remember names and reminiscing about the past, it fills me with a great sadness, but also I continue to write about it because that's how I deal with it. I write humor about my mother, and I hope that my kids can write humor about me someday, and that it will stoke their memories of the positive times, the good times. It wasn't all sad. And I congratulate all of you for working in this very important field. And if you ever want to do something fun, call up Laurie and me, and we'll go out and we'll have a party and do some storytelling.
We'll
And
take it on the road.